Bonjour. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Lauren Kling. Welcome to another episode of the Film Threat Watch Party. Welcome. I am so excited. Today we are going to have the cast and filmmakers from Boys vs. Girls joining us today. I am so excited. But let's first get started with this lovely little video. That was neat, huh? So here's what's going to happen if this is your first time. Welcome. We've got our guests from the show lined up. They're going to come on in about 10 minutes. We're going to talk with Mike about the film in a second. But this is a second screen experience program. What that means is you're going to watch the movie Boys vs. Girls on your big TV in large or your theater screen, and on your second screen, a phone, a tablet, a computer, whatever you've got. You're going to stream the movie with us at about 15 after, and then Hilarity will ensue, and then we'll just have a chat. Also, post your questions and your comments onto our chat. I will bring those up throughout the conversation so you can ask questions of the cast. I know we have some fans that are so excited to meet our guests. So let's see what else. Are you going back to the movies? Have the theaters opened up in your area? Let me know about that. What movies have you seen recently that you're excited to see? What independent films are you watching these days? That's about it. So I'd say let's bring on our very first guest, and let's have a chat with him. Hold on a second. Let's bring on the director of Boys vs. Girls. Where is he? Let's bring on Mike Stasko. How are you, Mike?
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Welcome. Who is that gentleman behind you in that poster?
That is Jack Nance from 1977 Eraserhead. I was trying to think of what film is most different from Boys vs. Girls, an 80s camp comedy, and I thought Eraserhead.
War Games might have been, well, no, War Games would be a little bit closer to summer camp for computer nerds, right?
There you go.
So, well, thank you very much for joining us. I think you and basically everybody are up in Canada on the East Coast time, aren't you?
Yeah, so it's 8 o'clock. I already had some, because you guys are 5 o'clock Pacific time, and I already had a few of the cast and crew being, where is everyone at 5 o'clock, wondering, and I said, read the PST.
Yeah. Right. Well, we are excited to have our fans on our YouTube and our Facebook, and I think Periscope is gone, but on all of our channels, like Izzy, who's really looking forward to watching this. So thank you, Izzy. I know Kayla's got a question for the whole cast, so we're going to bring her on in a second. So tell me, Mike, where did the idea for this film come about?
I guess the birth of the idea came from my actual camp experience. This is actually the camp that I went to and grew up, Camp Kitschy, a YMCA camp up in Ontario. And in the summer of 1990, as it does in the film, it did go co-ed for the first time. And in real life, when they went co-ed, after a couple days, the boys and girls loved each other and everything went fine because hormones kicked in. But for the purpose of the film, I needed some sort of narrative element to tie the film, just to do a camp film that has a lot of jokes. So I made it seem like it lasted longer and was a bigger deal.
Wonderful. It's a great film. Having gone to camp in the 80s and the 80s, I was thinking, how late was I? This movie reminded me so much of camp, although camps on film usually seem to be a lot nicer than the ones I've gone to. So
yeah, it's called production design usually. So.
Who was your production designer for this?
Emily Asner. She's local from Windsor, where we shot the film. Graduated the University of Windsor, where I work as a professor as well. And she hit a home run because this is obviously a very low budget indie film. And when I interviewed her, I kind of talked about the low budget that we had. And she said, don't worry, thrift stores are my favorite places in the world. And luckily, if you go to thrift stores, it's mostly clothes from the 80s and 90s. So it just kind of worked out perfect for us production design wise.
Yeah. As an 80s kid, I am so excited that 80s things are back, except for fanny packs. That's the one thing that I never jumped on.
I don't get it. It is like back big time. I have my nephews that are wearing it, and I'm like, so you're wearing it ironically? They're like, no, this is.
Yeah. So I'm excited to bring on the cast, but first, I want to bring the guy on with the coolest toys, the composer of the film. Let's bring on our composer, Mike Calcutt. How are you, Mike?
Hey, very good. Thanks. How's it going?
It's good. Now I have to point out you came prepared to play.
Yeah, this has been my at-home setup for about a year now. This is where I broadcast and do my work from. So yeah, happy to let you guys into the studio.
And I just have to add, as a keyboard player myself, all the electronic doodads on the back are not props, but they're actually old instruments.
Yep. Some old, some new, some black and some blue. Yeah, it's they span decades worth of technology. Some of them are as current as this year, and some of them are as old as the mid 1960s.
That's amazing. Well, we're excited to have you, and I'm wondering maybe if you could play as we bring on a guest. Would you mind doing that?
I would love to.
All right. So let's bring on Nia. Let's bring on Michaela and Tim, Jesse and Rachel, Sean and Jess,
So fun.
and Eric. It's like being at Funtime Pizza. Welcome everybody to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're glad to be here.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. We know it's a Friday night on the East Coast and up in Ontario and Toronto. So thank you for joining us. I gotta say, as somebody from Southern California, there's been my whole life some incredible Canadian shows. Of course, Schitt's Creek is amazing, but back in my day, you can't do that on television was like my thing.
100%.
So feel free to shout out a woo woo or woo. Not there we go. So, all right. So we lost Eric. We know that Eric's got a connection. So I think we have a drinking game, and it doesn't have to be alcohol because we've got all ages. So every time Eric's connection drops, we have to take a sip. So
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone.
cheers. All right. And Eric doesn't know any of that, just so you know. All right. So welcome. All right. So let's start with a question from Kayla. Kayla was first in line, and she wants to know, for the whole cast, what was one of your favorite bloopers that happened while filming?
Who goes first?
Oh my God! I think any time that we had to do any improv with Colin Mochrie was.
Oh, hey, Kayla.
There you go.
Thank you, Eric.
What? Anytime we had to do improv with Colin Mochrie was really special and like really hard to keep a straight face. Kevin McDonald also did about what felt like 30 different improvs when he was reading the names of the different groups. And I was sitting with Eric, and a professional would have kept a straight face with Eric, who was staying in the scene, and I just couldn't do it. I was just laughing hysterically the whole time. And poor Eric was left on his own island while I was just completely out of the scene peeing at McDonald's.
Nice. So Jesse Camacho, you call yourself a Peter Dinklage wannabe on your Twitter account.
Yes.
You're also in you're in Less Than Kind, and you're in an amazing Netflix show called Lock and Key.
I'm
Yeah.
fire right now, actually. Funnily enough.
Rapping.
Yeah, I'm just incredibly fortunate and lucky, and it's luck, especially during the last year. The fact that we've been shooting through everything that's been going on, it's been like such a crazy blessing, and it's such a fun show. It's like the kind of show that I watched when I was a kid. So like being a part of a show like that is just like it's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. So welcome. We're happy to have you. All right. Who else do we have? We've got Nia. How are you? Nia Rome. welcome. Are you there? Can you hear us?
Sorry, my phone buzzed out for a second.
It's all right. I'm doing production and interviewing all of you at the same time. So it's
Perfect.
like we're just doing an IG live with 8,000 fans at the same time.
Yeah, can you get Mark to help
Killing it,
out?
Lauren. You're killing it.
All right. So Nia, you're in My Mom's Darkest Secrets, which sounds like a lovely, uplifting comedy.
Yes. A little bit different than this movie, but yeah. Well, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you've been saved by Eric dropping out, so feel free to take a drink.
Cheers,
You just said
everyone.
about here, this party's dead anyway.
So Nia, you're in a Canadian and Australian TV series. Oh yuck.
Yeah, that was the first thing I ever booked, and it was this really fun science kid show, and it was goofy and fun, and honestly, it was probably the only other set experience, including Boys versus Girls, where the entire time it was just so much fun and everyone was just like having a blast. So that was really fun.
So I'm sure this is a question for all of you, but what is it like to book that first job? Anybody like?
Oh, I cry. When I found out I booked my first feature, I full on went on my knees and cried. I was so, it's like all that training from school, all that hard work, and just like, oh, I just cried. I was so excited.
Yeah. Now, Michaela was Handmaid's
stepping
Tale.
stones, though, in a way. Like each project becomes a first because you get closer and closer to this constant chase that you're after as an actor of what next and what more, and
Yeah. Michaela, was A Handmaid's Tale your first gig?
No, actually, I did an independent feature called Survival Box. That was my first, and I actually booked the lead in that, which was crazy for me to just experience. Handmaid's Tale, I think, I booked 2 more things, just small little pilots here and there, and then Handmaid's Tale came. Yeah.
So probably booking those other roles were a great help before getting on A Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, for sure. Oh, I definitely had a way more experience than just going in fresh to do Handmaid's Tale. But yeah, it was credible, and Handmaid's Tale was one of the most like, they were so welcoming, and they were just like everybody, the crew and cast, and I was with Samira Wiley doing a scene with her, and she was just like, we hung out the whole day and just got to know one another. It was really great.
Well, Eric, your fans are excited to see you whenever you're on screen.
Okay, I think I might have figured something out now. I'm sorry, I'm like right next to my modem, but apparently the Wi-Fi is just being a little bit frustrating. But yeah, sorry about that. But I saw. Thanks. I saw. I know Kayla is watching, and she's always been like such a lovely person and a lovely fan since the Degrassi days, and I have the privilege of seeing her at some of the shows that my band plays and stuff, and also just over the years we've had had like a nice little friendship, so it's nice to see her here again. So hey Kayla, hope you're doing well.
Awesome. Well, thank you to everyone out on Twitch as well. Keep your questions and comments. We're going to start the movie in about a minute and a half. Who else did we not talk to? Eric. We just saw Eric. Sean, you talked for a second. You've done a ton of TV work.
Yeah, indeed.
A legend.
I'm a legend to the. By the way, it was really nice to see you.
You're a legend.
We could all be shooting a movie together right now.
Sean, is it true that you have a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry and biochemistry?
It's absolutely true. I was at Western, and that's where I kind of realized that my daytimes doing biochem and my nighttimes doing plays, one was much more exciting and interesting than the other.
Yeah.
By the way, everyone here knows this, but Mike, the director and writer, was my camper at summer camp. We went to the same summer camp.
Yeah.
And I was a sponsor 1 year.
Oh, yes.
And even when I wasn't, we just hit it off like crazy. I always adored
Yeah.
it. We got on great. So I haven't seen the film, but this is a real treat for me because I was there during the reality of this blend up at our summer camp.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you have your second screen ready to go. I'll give you a countdown in about 30 seconds. We'll do a 5-second countdown. We'll press play. So however you can watch Boys vs. Girls, and we can talk about the movie. We can continue to take questions and answers. And if we have any chemistry questions, we'll throw them to Sean.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'll tell you all the molarities of every substance in solution.
You've already lost me.
Yeah.
Already lost me. And
Yeah,
Michaela, you're you created a vegan butter?
Oh yeah. During my quarantine I started making skincare and it just
that's
like
awesome.
happened really. So now I'm selling skincare products like basically body butter just for fun.
That's awesome. All right. So not the
that's
edible
cool.
butter, not the edible butter, but the body butter. Just so
Body
we
butter,
know.
yes.
All right.
Love that.
All right, so let's get our second screens ready to go, and let's hit the start button in 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, in 1, and play. I'm going to make sure the audio for my guests, a reminder just to keep the audio down while we're watching you at home and about movie theaters or live theaters.
We had a false start with patios this week. That they opened for about a week, and then they immediately shut down again. So no, I wish theaters were open because that's something I feel like you could do in a kind of a safe way if you did it carefully.
Yeah, as of tomorrow, I think we're going back into that
To lockdown.
Ontario-wide lockdown.
We each live alone, so that's why we're allowed to chill. But
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Well, welcome. One person I did not introduce. I apologize. Or two people. First, Michaela's friend and the guitar player from Boys vs. Girls. Let's say hello to Tim. How are you, Tim?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. I didn't want to leave you hanging as just the rando in the corner. So
No, I ain't rando. I just hanging though.
good. Good. And then we got to go back to Sean, the chemist. You've got a guest there, but they're not. Who is this guest?
This is Anais. She's our support crew. Yeah.
Hi guys,
Hey.
Nice.
I'm just a girlfriend.
Welcome. You're the support crew, so we'll call you Crafty. We'll call you that.
Yeah. If anyone gets a flat, that kind of thing.
Got it.
Pit crew.
Wonderful. Now, have you guys seen each other before this watch party since the film?
I have since
I've been seeing.
when we've like watched the film the first time.
Yeah, we
I
have
have seen
seen
Jesse. I have seen Rachel, I think once or twice.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of you.
Sean, we live together. We see each other every day.
Got it.
Also, Tim plays Bo in the movie. I don't know if you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'll see.
Yes.
Oh, by a show of hands, who's been to summer camp? Who went to summer camper? So, So, Nia, what was the CSC in Spanish? What was that sort of?
I didn't really go to summer camp. I went to choir camp. And I went to theater camp. So I went to the nerdier versions of it.
Yes. That's awesome. And Michaela and Tim, you didn't get to experience camp?
No, I never went.
My older brother went to camp. He went to
Same
a
with
Polish
me.
camp, but came back and
Just-
suggested it wasn't my bag, so I didn't go.
Yeah.
I went to an arts camp. That's the lie. I went to a drama camp, but it didn't feel campy. It was acty.
I get it. Okay, I get it. So for Mike, Chris said he's a big fan of Eraserhead.
yeah,
Nice.
Oh yeah, Mike. I meant to say that's a great poster in the back.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Mike, how soon or how quickly did you have this idea to kind of theme this with that 80s 90s vibe?
Well, as Sean pointed out, I went to camp in the all through the 90s, and Sean was my counselor at one point. And it seemed like the 80s kind of just stuck around into the 90s at camp. Like it never turned over. My mom actually, I had dinner with my mom tonight, and she found a picture of Sean Benson from 1993, shirt off, buff dude, long blonde hair down to his ass.
My, how times have changed, my friends. Times have changed.
And actually,
That's amazing.
Oh, my hair was like double as long as Nia's.
yeah, no, it was long. And actually, all four of the male leads are a little bit of a composite of Sean and some other camp counselors that I brought, that I kind of went to camp with. So the idea has been around since I got in. Well, when I eventually got into filmmaking, I always knew I wanted to do a camp one. But it was just coming up with a premise, and the co-ed, back in the 80s, there were those like Battle of the Sexes comedies, and that's what I was kind of trying to do a throwback to, which is a very dated thing, obviously nowadays, but trying to bring it back to the spotlight again, I guess.
So talk about a lot of the kids in this film. Are they actors? Are they friends and family of cast and crew?
No, they're from the 80s.
Nah.
We just love them. The 80s.
It was more expensive up front to build the time machine, but
You kept him in a maquette in a dub until now.
no, we shot this in near Windsor, Ontario, Windsor, Essex, near Kingsville, at a camp, Sunshine Point Camp, and I had shot a bunch of other films locally in Windsor. This is my hometown. So built up a little bit of goodwill. So when we put out the casting call, obviously we had wonderful actor professionals for the leads, but for the background performers, a lot of local background performers coming out for that, which I think some parents quickly figured out as free babysitting. They could drop off their kids this film set in June, July, and they would just be wandering around in the background of some film set and then come pick them back up at 5, and that was good. So
they were great. The kids were really. We had like Dante was great, Brett was great. We had like Nicholas Fry. There's a lot of they were, and even the extras. Mike, wasn't your nephew was one of them as well, right? He was fantastic.
Yeah, they would randomly just show up, and I'd be like, "You're kicking a soccer ball," and then
they were so down for anything.
They were fun. They definitely kept the set fun.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Nice. All right. Eric, what's your experience with summer camp or after school? Well, after school camp, I think counts.
Yeah, I guess I sort of did go to camp. I didn't have like an overnight experience, something like this. It was more just like I'd go to day camps when my parents were working, and so I did like a drama camp and a music camp where you like make you cover a song in a week with like a couple other people, and then you play it on stage, which was pretty cool actually. It was like at a local college that they hosted this thing, and so you kind of actually had like a stage to play it at the end of the week, which was like a pretty big thing for
now did you stay with the other cast on location at the camp?
Yeah, we all stayed on location. So this was sort of like my first experience with, like a traditional like overnight summer camp, was like making this movie. And that was it was like super fun. I wouldn't have it any other way. It was like all the crew, all the cast, obviously we're all just like bunked up together. And yeah, it was just like, a month of like really just like getting to know each other and really bonding. And I don't know, I think it was just like, when I think back on this movie, that's like the thing that stands out, is just getting to know everybody, and just like becoming super close friends and having this like really communal camp experience that is just like obviously like unlike anything you ever like get when you work on a movie. Everything's like other films and stuff like that, you hardly ever get to see anybody, sometimes like depending on what you're doing. But this was just as close to like a camp experience as you could get. So that was pretty wonderful.
Yeah, who would have thought that you got paid to go to camp?
Yeah, exactly.
Usually it's your parents that pay a lot of money
Honestly.
Yeah.
to send you.
Yeah.
Rachel, your grandfather ran a summer camp back in the day?
He did. He
Yeah.
I was at the exact same camp. He had a judo camp there.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
so he had his judo studio, and then every summer he would have a camp there, and I guess it was really great. I never got to see the camp, but I got to be part of his classes, which was really cool. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Anybody here ever be a counselor?
I was gonna say,
I always wanted to.
just the movie.
Mike raised his hand. He, at least the camp I went to in Northern California, and Sean, they were called counselor in leadership training.
Yeah.
Which was basically you were 13 or 14 and they said you go take care of the other kids. Sean, what was it like for you to be a counselor?
Well, so this is pretty fun about the movie because I'm just old enough that my first number of years was boys camp. And it was, now when Mike said that the 80s didn't quite disappear by the 90s, the 70s hadn't disappeared in the mid 80s. It was fucking, pardon me, it was aggro. It was dudes in like cutoff jean shorts, kind of beating the crap out of you all the time. But it was also kind of awesome. And then what happened was they started to blend it. But back in those boys camp days, like some 13-year-old would just show up at your cabin one night and be like, yeah, it's your counselor's day off. And then they would have zero skills. And it would just be, I mean, you learn how to smoke cigarettes and blow up frogs with firecrackers and do all that stuff because you had no actual counselor. But then your counselor would come back and they were just 15 or 16 anyways. And so what then happened was with co-ed came the sort of advent of the 90s as people started to get a little less aggro about it. And also the great news was the environment started to become a major consideration in the 90s, which was awesome. So anyways, that's when we started to introduce legitimate CIT and LIT programs, leadership and counselor and training programs. And that's when people started to actually like fully know how to take care of kids as far as the camp could. So it was an interesting blend for me. And I was a little stuck in the past because I like the traditional thing. So I had to like learn how to not be one of those aggro guys because I always thought it was cool. Like when a counselor picked on you, it was scary but cool. And I realized that not everybody felt that way. And so we had to kind of move away from all that stuff. So we had one foot in the 70s still in the 90s. That's how that ancestral stuff works. But anyways, as far as it goes, like I was counseling kids way too young, but it's sort of that one-room schoolhouse vibe. Like my dad was a teacher in a one-room schoolhouse in the 50s, and he said it's the best educational experience he's ever had because there's no way to run it without your like grade 6s helping your grade 3s and your grade 10s helping your grade 7s. And that's what summer camp is whoever's like 2 to 3 years ahead helps the other kids, and then they're helped by the senior staff. And it's a really beautiful model for society. I wish there was more of that.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I say cheers to that.
Cheers. Did Eric fall off again?
Cheers.
No, Eric's still here.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. So just for everybody out there, don't forget to post your questions and your comments. We'll bring them up. You can ask the cast a question. You can ask Mike a question. But let's ask Mark a question. What were some of your musical influences for this film?
Well, I had the task of trying to create the sound of the late 80s and early 90s. So let's see here. We employed things like some drum machines, some like older drum machines, poly synthesizers. I used a famous synthesizer called the Prophet, which was made by a company called Sequential in the United States. And it's famously used on just about all of the John Carpenter soundtracks. I love horror films. And some of my favorite soundtracks are the John Carpenter movies. So anyway, we picked up one of these instruments, and when it was appropriate, we tried to employ it throughout this movie. What else did we do? I learned about gated reverb through this project, which was a big sort of thing in the 80s to get a very characteristic snare sound for the handful of songs that we used a real drum kit on. But yeah, I had to sort of create some stuff on the fly, and fortunately, Mike and Theodore had put together a sort of bit of a cheat sheet for me. It expedited the process incredibly. So when I got the first sort of edit of this movie, they included all of these placeholders, so songs that they just weren't able to use or license. Anyway, so I had, rather than start from scratch, I was able to imitate some of these tracks. So when I hear something, I think in my head, well, okay, it's that one over there, and so we break out that keyboard and we just try to come up with something that's close to it. But that was sort of the philosophy that I had going into it.
Yeah, a lot of really cool music, a lot of retro sounding synth, and Harumi says that he loved the Halloween Party song.
Oh yeah, some of those were the fun ones. What was it? We tried to emulate a Morrissey song. What else? Yeah, those were a lot of fun because I'm a sucker for that era of music, and I'm happy to try and fake it.
Got it. All right, I have a question for Nia, just so I'm not surprising you with a question. So the head tilt.
Yes.
That scene where you're looking at the now, was that something you had to work on? Something you just naturally had?
It was definitely something I had to work on. It was actually a joke that Mike and I had where he was like, whenever the camera's not rolling, do it in the other direction so you don't get a sore neck. And yeah, it was really fun. And he sometimes had to keep reminding me because it's weird, but you don't actually know how like far your head is tilted normally. So it was just really fun to do.
If there's not a dance that comes out of the head tilt,
just like
can we all do that?
Like
can everybody do that? There we go. Awesome. Chris agrees that the music really matched. All right. So what are we watching right here? Is this the CEO of the International Camp Corporation? What was the name of the company?
There was no name, but that's Sean Benson as Gary, and he just
with the Y
corporate suit that kind of comes in to try to make this co-ed thing work. And he doesn't do too good of a job of it off the bat, but he tries.
Where did you guys get that ghetto blaster from? I love it.
I think that was a thrift shop find for sure.
I think Mark wants it.
I can't get over this bleach, my man. I can't get over this.
Sean killed it. I think Sean, was this the first scene you shot? I think it was. I'm trying to remember.
I think it was. You're right.
And he just dove right in. Like it was fantastic. Because we'd been there the first couple days, it was just, I think, us for a couple days. And then some of the kids got there, and then I feel like Sean, you came in.
What we're going to divide into two. Then drum roll, please. What's next? Girls.
Somebody play audio.
Got it.
Not us, yeah.
So we have a question for the cast. Anybody that wants to answer, do you have a favorite 80s movie? And then we'll also find out, Eric, they want to know what song you covered in your summer camp.
Okay. I went a few years, but I remember, like, for whatever reason, the one I remember covering most is War Pigs.
Nice.
And then there was War Pigs by Black Sabbath, and there was another one called Propane Nightmares, I think, and I can't remember the band that did that, but it was like some like hard rock synthy thing that it was by Pendulum, if that means anything to anyone. I'm
sure there's Pendulum fans out there that are like, yeah.
I don't know what my favorite 80s movie is. Maybe Return to Me if somebody has it on the top of their head.
All right. Anybody want to jump in with a favorite 80s movie?
Mine's Dead Poet Society.
Oh my God, Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah, it's a classic.
Spaceballs.
I have a deep love for Robin Williams. So.
Me too. No, Jurassic Park is not easy. I would say Dead Poets or Stand By Me, maybe. Those are probably up there for me.
Got it. How about Nia? Any favorite 80s movies?
I think they've both been said.
Yeah, they have been said. So no comedy. So like a lot of you kind of have that.
Top Secret is so the best movie of the 80s. I was watching myself on screen. I haven't seen this movie yet. So I was just watching Gary with a Y, but you can call me Gare. I hadn't seen that yet. So I was basking in myself. Top Secret is absolutely the best movie of the 80s. Val Kilmer. What's that?
Once. I've seen this movie maybe 30 times now.
I'll watch 12 or 14 more.
Perfect.
I'm going to join in and echo Sean on Top Secret. I had that on VHS as a kid, and it was Val Kilmer before he was famous.
Yeah.
His first movie out of Juilliard.
He nailed it. It's a campy thing, over the top, and it's in the style of like the Naked Gun kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
But just individual gags, and if you're just looking for entertainment nonstop, it was great.
Yeah. Ferris Bueller, Uncle Buck, Spies Like Us.
Kayla's got it all going on with the John Candy love. I forgot about Uncle Buck. That's a great one.
It is a great one.
I just rewatched Ferris Bueller at a thing in LA, like an outdoor, and it holds up.
Yeah.
Like, 16 Candles does not hold up. It's literally a relic of a time where but Ferris Bueller's is incredible. It still works.
Mike,
I don't know if it's just
it's been reused as well, right? Through like Big Short was that narrative direct to the camera. Get it going.
So I got to ask, in this scene, there's the extra in the background with the like multicolored hair.
Reese,
right?
Reese.
Is that Flea?
So a shout out to Reese and his multicolored hair, because that's all I was standing on. I was like, I feel like some shaved ice, and I don't know why.
Reese was a key grip on the set. This was a lot of the actual extras you see, like the main counselor extras, are also crew members. There's Gemma in the background.
Yeah, and Emily too, right? And
Emily,
they were all crew, and it's when we called action, they stopped what they were doing, building a prop or whatever, setting up a light, go sit in the background. So a lot of the crew were wearing that 80s, 90s clothes while they were working as well.
That's awesome. Nothing like getting your crew to get in front of the camera for a scene or two.
Yeah.
So we've got Rachel right here, right?
Yes.
Hi. Yes.
So Rachel, I got to ask, was this look something you came up with, or something Mike came up for you for this film?
Like the dressing and stuff?
The dressing, the hair, the lipstick, kind of the attitude.
It was definitely something that Mike came up with, but it is something that I wear every day. A lot of the things that you see me wear in the movie, I'm probably already wearing in my day-to-day life. I have, I kept a lot of the pieces that I had in the movie just because I liked them so much.
Nice. Mike, so your idea was to kind of do a throwback to the 80s movies, but some 80s movies are really hard to watch these days. So what was your idea with how do you honor the 80s, but also honor where we are as a society today?
Yeah, and it was tricky. And if I look back at maybe my earlier drafts, it was much more of the X or R-rated, like Porky's kind of version of the film. And then ultimately I toned it down. If you watch the entire film, there's actually no single shot of nudity. There's not even kissing in the film, which was actually a staple of those camp comedies kind of thing.
I have a question. Was that something in the original script?
If you look at like my drafts from like 2012, it was a lot more inappropriate and probably wouldn't have fly. But that's just me writing, getting drafts out kind of thing, and then figuring out what's going to work. You kind of, even though retroactively, like as Sean mentioned, counselors were a certain way in the 80s, you still need to be attached to your protagonist and like root for them and be with them. And there was too much stuff in that R-rated, X-rated thing that you would lose your main characters. You wouldn't buy into them. You'd be like, these are awful people. I don't want to watch this. So eventually going the more kind of PG-13 route made it so that you could make more three-dimensional characters towards the end of the film and have them have redeeming qualities, I guess.
Despite my best efforts, right, Mike? With all my, but I want to give a huge compliment to Mike as a director. He really did. He let us play a lot in like a really fun way, and I think that I almost tried to ruin his movie by making it basically unreleasable with a lot of my improvs.
Jesse, your improvs were always like perfect.
But they were like completely R-rated, and
sure, but they were like, what a joy that was to watch and like witness that happening every take. 'Cause I had so many scenes with you, but it was always just like such fun and like such a joy to see you go off, because it was like, yeah, it was great.
It was the best. Yeah, it was, dude. It was so much fun always like working with you. But I remember a couple times like poor Mike would say, "Cuddy, Jesse, really funny. I can't use it." I was like, "That's fair."
Well, it was in Jesse's defense, he'd always give me the take that was on the page first. So we always did, and that was the same with Colin and Kevin. Is they'd always give me the take that I needed first, and then once I said we had that, then they would do some improv stuff. But there is a lot of stuff that Jesse said that did make the final cut that was improv. The whole end of that skit scene was actually all Jesse at the end. But it was I did test screenings to see kind of what line you could draw before you would lose the character or be a bit against the character. And I tried like a longer extended blooper reel at the end with even more inappropriate stuff, but then I just felt it was kind of ruining the taste in people's mouth with some of it. But yeah, in 20 years from now, we'll re-release a dark.
I would be thrilled to see that. Yeah. I can't wait.
I was going to say, I was wondering if Jesse was going to wear that for the rest of the movie, but
yeah.
Well, oh, yeah, exactly.
Finally had a costume change. A question for Sean. Do you have a preference for movie sets or TV sets? Remember, you're on camera with your film friends.
Great question.
This is an awesome question. So I'd have to say it two ways. I prefer the storytelling of movies, because movies are like theater in that from the time you start, you have your arc. And so you can really play with what your character does, and you can play with expectation, and you know how it's going to pay off. So if your guy ends up being a killer, you can go full charming, and obviously vice versa. If your guy's the red herring, you can really be odd or idiosyncratic and then be the kind person by the end. It's a lovely way to play. And it goes back to that theater arc. The thing with TV is when you're on a TV show, it's a linear set of kind of cool behaviors that an audience enjoys until your show gets canceled. But your day-to-day shooting tends to be more interesting, fun, and better, I find, than film, because film's always a little bit shy of a budget and a little bit scrambly compared to TV. So TV has a groove where I like to live, but the storytelling of film is more compelling. So it's a bit of a hedge, but it's definitely both. But for me, the storytelling of film wins out for the very reason that's what I got into this for, is to tell the stories.
Got it. Michelle is asking Jesse if you're this funny in real life.
Yes. No.
He is.
Good, we got that.
100%.
No. That's very kind of everybody. No, I'm definitely not that that vocally confident as Ben. But that's what I kind of love about working on films like this, is that it gives you that permission to like try different things and go there and like almost take off any kind of social filter, especially with Ben, the character I played, who's has no filter at all, whether it's social or any kind of other filter. But that's very nice for everybody. I think maybe people say I'm not funny in real life, but for every joke that lands, I have about 8 that miss. Not
really though.
Jesse, tell us about the scene we're watching right now.
Oh God, with who is it? Dante and Brett
and Nicholas Fry, I think.
And Nicholas Fry, yeah. Again, these kids were all great. Like it was super great. Like I think a lot of times what was cool about this project itself, and Mike can really speak to this, is the community, because a lot of the crew members were his students, and they all knew exactly what they were doing, which again is a testament to I guess the way Mike teaches his class. but like there was such a familiarity, and all the kids kind of really bonded with us, and the cast, we bonded really like heavily because most of us except for this one, get out of here, we're staying at the camp. So we really got to become like a mini family. It was weird. It was like for this month we all lived together, ate together, like the whole thing. So when it kind of wrapped and we were all going home, it was like, oh, so I guess I'll see you never in a week. Like, yeah, it was sort of an odd thing, and that really helped myself and all my improv because I was so comfortable around everybody. Yes. And I really think that starts from the top, and that's with Mike, and like these were all his students, and it was like a real family environment. So you really felt able to. It was a safe place to fail, if that makes any sense. You can try things; they can fall on their face. Try things and succeed. And especially for me with the character Ben, I really did want to go there, and like they created an environment where that was just like a great thing.
I do want to add though, like Jesse is the type of person that like brings light to the room, like. When
because
Jesse's
I'm so uncomfortable.
Yes. Correct.
No, you know you're gonna have a good time if Jesse's gonna be there. So Jesse is Ben in a way.
I'll give you your 20 after the movie. Thank you.
Was this anyone's first time doing a comedy? Like your background is mostly drama?
This was my first comedy.
This is
for sure.
It was pretty much my first comedy as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you both killed it.
So
yeah, same with me.
How did it feel different? Did you go in for Michaela and Rachel? Did you go in thinking one way of an acting style and you kind of had to drop that or change it?
My character just kind of took care of itself. Like Danny was so like written so like Danny that for me it was like once I got into that headspace. Well, usually it's once I got into makeup, like because they would put pounds and pounds of makeup. And we also filmed this, I think, in June, and I get so like I wasn't allowed to tan. I think somebody like from production had to hold an umbrella because I tan so easily, and we wanted me like pasty.
Can I say one thing actually to give Michaela like a lot of credit? And Michaela's very first scene in the movie was her mom.
Oh, yeah.
And she just came in and killed it. Like it was amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
Such a wonderful job.
That's awesome. Tim, did we just see you strumming the guitar?
That was it, my man. That was
yes. Let's give a drink. Let's take a drink for Tim's guitar. I gotta say, Mike, you've nailed so much of what summer camp is. The counselor that plays guitar, the awkward counselors, the bad food, the weird cook, the weird employee janitors.
Yeah, I ended up having to amalgamate a lot of characters. Like in earlier drafts, you had like 10 male counselors and 10 female counselors, and then there was the nurse, the caretaker, the whatever. And then as your finances come together and the realistic nature of independent filmmaking, you want to amalgamate roles and characters and stuff. So you end up with 4 each. So the counselors, they ended up being very iconic with their traits, and they really saturated in what their role was. And it kind of turned out funny. The Kevin McDonald character, Coffee, he was a jack of all trades, and he was a weirdo too. So I got to amalgamate like 4 characters into him, but I think it made it more funny for that.
And then you had this new guy, Colin Mochrie. I think he's up and coming. I think he's really gonna.
I think it's Mochrie.
Mochrie.
Never heard of him.
No.
Yes.
I think he's a first-year, second city guy.
I'm walking him through how to make a film, about copy and timing. He struggled, but I think he got there in the end.
I'm sure, Jesse, in your mind, you were like, oh my God, improv God, improv God, improv. He's walking this way.
Whose Line Is It Anyway was like my childhood. It was
Me too.
a dream come true having him there, and getting to work with him. It was just incredible. And he's the nicest guy in the world.
He is.
He's the coolest dude.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Very cool. Mark, got to ask you a question. Did you get to hang out on set?
No. I only got to hang out with Michael and Theodore for about 4 months, once every week or once every other week, just to see how progress was going. But yeah, I after hearing all the stories and everything I've read about. I wish to death that I was there to be a part of it, but that's how it goes.
Got it. All right. So, Mark, think of 3 bands from the 80s you think everybody today should totally get into.
Oh, let's see here. XTC, Duran Duran, if you haven't already. And how about Weird Al Yankovic?
Weird. That's right.
I think he put out a lot of stuff in the 80s.
For the rest of the cast, are you into any 80s music?
I grew up with it with my dad and mom listening to it, but not currently. Like they're on my playlist, but not consistently.
Is Kiss 80s or is that 90s? Because I think that's 80s. And
yeah,
I had a die-hard Kiss stage when I was like 14,
I see pictures.
14, 15. I decked my entire bedroom out in Kiss. I grew my hair out long.
You tried to create your own band, I think.
Yeah.
Michaela, can you
Paul stud. Say that again, Rachel. Sorry.
Can you share some of those pictures with us?
Oh gosh, no, I don't know.
I'll find them. I will find them.
Yeah, Kiss would have been mid-late 70s and then 80s, and then they kept having like the last show, the breakup show, and then they would come back and do another tour again. So I saw them like in the 90s in college at a We're Never Coming Back show.
I think your 3 quintessential 80s albums would have to be Appetite for Destruction, GNR, Guns N' Roses, Beastie Boys, License to Ill, and then NWA. And I think that sets the now that negates the whole Cure, Pet Shop Boys, New Wave. I get that. But if you're going what's so influenced everything, but then that whole New Wave thing definitely got into the whole rave culture and underscored a lot of that stuff. So that's, I mean, you can't negate that, the New Order vibe and everything. So it's almost like you got these 2 divergences. The one fed over into hip hop as well as grunge, and then the other fed over into what's now EDM. But those are your kind of roots there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, good choices.
I'm curious for any of the actors who grew up after the 80s. Did you listen to music did you listen to music for this movie to help you get into it, or did you find that it really didn't add to your character what you thought your character would be?
For me, I didn't really listen to much of the music. I did watch a lot of the movies.
Yeah. There's a lot of great 80s movies
Lots
Mike
of 80
recommended.
movies. Yeah.
Watching Romeo right now rap. I'm like, this is the best question for this moment. I remember with Romeo, he like came up to me before shooting this. I'm dying. It's so good. He was so nervous to rap. He's like,
yeah.
And he's like, Michaela, I don't know how I'm gonna rap. Like, and he crushed it. So I'm pretty sure.
Shout out to the costume team too. His clothing is backwards.
Yeah, all backwards.
All of it's backwards every day.
So funny.
Yeah,
there it is.
But you had to learn a song.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I definitely studied some music, listened up to, because my guy was stuck in the 70s. So I got my fair share of.
We've got a comment from somebody named Greg, and let me find that. Greg says,
"Oh,
that's my papa."
Oh, that's Tim.
There he is.
Yeah, there you go.
Shout out to your pops, who is more than happy.
Oh shit, he's got photos.
He's got a lot of
photos.
Yeah, send them my way.
Lots of stuff.
All right. So we're gonna collect your email addresses and share them to the cast. Izzy wants to know if anyone worked in the work before or since in other projects.
Actually, Nia and I did.
Yeah, we did
a movie like a few months after.
You did Kate Kershaw movie, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
We did a horror film called Random Acts of Violence where we played friends, and it was amazing because we had just met and spent an entire month together getting to know each other. I was like, this is amazing to see you again.
Yeah, and then we were like playing really close. We had like a few scenes, and it was just like us and then somebody else, and we like, it was just so great because we had like this context already, and yeah, it's just like you said, we were just like bonding for so long, and then to play like really close friends and like what seemed like a very like insular scene, but just like very intense, and yeah, it was just like an extended hangout almost, but it was like super fun.
That's awesome.
Sean, yeah, we were in the same movie. We didn't have any scenes together, but
no, you were amazing.
So thank you, but you were amazing. You were incredible. He played this like chilling kind of psychopath, and Sean was just wonderful because everyone knows Sean. It's like obviously the polar opposite of him as a human.
Now,
but it was So we'd been in the same movie. We hadn't worked together. I had met Colin a couple times. Michaela and I were in the same acting class, so we knew each other.
We also did Katie's film this summer too.
Yes.
That was like for one day we saw each other, but it was thrilling. It was so exciting.
My one of my roommates and best friends was in Degrassi the same time Eric was, so I had met Eric at a couple of those.
Yeah.
Alex Harouche, yeah. But working together, the closest would have been Sean, and we didn't have any scenes together in that movie, but we were both in that film. Yeah.
Well, and for me, knowing Mike, I mean, we hadn't shot together, and the part I played wasn't anything based on our relationship, but knowing his tone, through knowing his sense of humor for years, which I liked, like when you meet a 14-year-old and you're like, this guy's got a great sense of humor, and you're like 17, that's kind of a cool thing. And so knowing the tone and the vibe and what he's going for, there was great ease for me to go, yeah, I know what I'm slipping into here. Even though I'm not slipping into playing anything, that actually, the Gary character wasn't really part of our time at camp with the corporate structure being a threat, but it was still really easy because I knew Mike trusted my groove and I trusted the hell out of his groove. So that helped.
Yeah, it was kind of fun because Sean was most like probably Jesse's character, Ben, in real life as a counselor. So him having to play the corporate thing was like I put him in the most opposite role that he would have been in that camp experience. So
that's amazing.
Awesome.
In 20 years of work, this is only my second comedy.
Really?
I always do dramas. And it's, Mike knows this, like all we ever wanted to do at camp was make people laugh. Like every moment was about the gag. Every second was, can you have a gag? Can you do a bit? Can you pull off a thing? And it wasn't, acting wasn't even a germ in my brain at the time. It was just for fun and for free. And, but in any case, my career's gone way more drama. And so, yeah, this was a treat that way. And sometimes it does take someone who knows that vibe of you, because casting directors will get a taste of you, get a sense of what you do. And then you kind of get in that groove, and it's awesome because you're getting cast, you got a good career, but you're like, yeah, but there's this whole other thing that I haven't got a chance to do. And so when Mike called, you're just like, yes, let's do that.
That's, that's something that I think a lot of actors face is you feel like you get pigeonholed into a specific genre of movie or TV show. Eric, do you think after Degrassi that you had that issue, or were you able to go into other projects that you wanted to do?
I think around the time when I was shooting that show and shortly after, I like more of the auditions I was getting was like kind of in the similar vein to the character I played on that show. But since then, I guess I've been lucky enough to have like enough of a variance in roles and kind of like flavors of personality and stuff to to be able to try different things out. And this was my first comedy thing too, so that was a nice a fun thing, a bit of a frightening thing to try, but I mean, yeah, I guess I've just been I've been lucky enough that I've been able to try different things out since. So yeah, that's been lucky.
Cool. So we got this new guy still chatting away. So this is the first time that the two counselors come together to try to settle this or to create the teams, right? The what are the names of the two sides?
Okay, I want to say like doing that little pull thing and then exactly what we're saying right now. That was so fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the poll.
I love just before that when Kevin McDonald reads the teams.
Oh yeah.
Also, what just happened there? Tim jumps this tree, and there was a blooper where he's like, I think he went up to Mike and you're like, "Can I jump this tree?" And he's like, "Yeah, if you can do it safely."
He clotheslined it.
And you clotheslined it the first time, and you're like, "I got it. I can do it again." So good.
But going back to what you were saying about Kevin McDonald, his improv skills are out of this world. Obviously.
Reading the names.
He gave us about
Didn't we all just like sit there and listen to him?
Yeah,
like go off with like all of
he just kept coming up with stuff.
So funny. So funny.
Yeah.
I swear he did like 15 takes of just random. We were just all like crying, laughing. None of us. Thank gosh he didn't cut to us because we couldn't keep a straight face.
What was the one he like he had the ballot like upside down and he like read it phonetically as to like what the thing looked like upside down. It's just like gibberish, and then he like turned it around. He's like, oh, he read the correct team after
Sing
that.
your boys too.
Yeah.
So good.
Mike, who is your DP? I love this montage so much.
This was Kyle Archibald, who I work with at the University of Windsor, was the DP and did a fantastic job with it. We shot the entire film. It was on the Arri Alexa Mini, and we used 3 lenses, which normally if I shoot a film, it's at least 8 to 10 lenses. But for the economy sake of moving fast with the crew and getting more setups done per day, we used a 28 mil, a 50 mil, and an 85. So we had to make a lot of different looks just with the 3 lenses. And that montage though of the British Bulldog scene was definitely one of the hardest scenes to do. And it was the one time we didn't actually make our day. We had to go back and do some pickups for it.
Can I chip in on that, Mark? I haven't seen this. Were you doing a little lead of forward, Kiss Me Deadly there? Was that a reference?
Oh, what was that? I forget. I would have to turn up the volume to hear which one this was.
The British montage has a little like Kiss Me Deadly lead of forward vibe, and I'm wondering if that was.
What was
that? Was
the
Morrissey Boys Girls theme song? Yeah, that one Mark and I wrote together for and under the pseudonym Huey Springsteen. So it was kind of like a Huey Lewis in the News, Bruce Springsteen kind of vibe. But I liked it. Like back in the 80s, they'd have films like if the film was called Footloose, there was a main theme song called Footloose. So we wanted to do for Boys versus Girls, the main theme was Boys versus Girls.
Yes.
So it just kind of basically tells you the lyrics or the plot of the film just being wrapped up succinctly but Mark did the vocals for it, which were amazing.
Yes. Well, if you don't know that one, Mark, check out Kiss Me Deadly by Lita Ford. You guys kind of have that feel in there and even a bit of the chord progression. Kiss Me Deadly.
Thanks. I'm writing that down right now. I'm going to listen to that later.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And Mike, when you say that, you're making me think of Vacation, the original one. And it's Holiday Roads, but it's the same idea.
Like, it's a great song.
Yeah. That's actually a good song.
What we're watching right now, Tim and Romeo both on mixtapes.
Oh,
and you have to like I don't think we've seen. No, we have seen Romeo's mixtape, but when the proofs came back of the pictures of the photo shoot that those guys did, oh my goodness!
Okay, I just want to say I didn't even know that happened, and then when I saw those pictures, I was like, "What?"
I was
amazing,
laughing so hard. They were incredible. I wish I had like a giant poster of all of them because they made me laugh so hard.
You guys remember like the first time we saw the like they did the cut, like when we were on set still, of just like I forget what it's called, but it's like the little reel to give you a taste of like what the movie is going to be like. And it started out with Tim like throwing on the record, and he had like the sunglasses down. And he was like,
Yes.
dude, it's just like a perfect encapsulation of Tim as Bo. Just yeah.
Kimbo.
Anna wants to know what your favorite song is at the moment.
Ooh. I like a lot of weird ones.
Me too.
A lot of alt indie for me.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give a shout out to my best man. Just released an EP. His name's Jordan Hart.
Ooh, we love
Amen to that.
But I also love the Bon Iver, James Blake.
I was gonna say we have the same music taste. Bon Iver, James Blake.
That's what I'm into right now.
Jordan came out and visited us at the camp and sang for us by the fire too.
Absolutely.
And he's just incredible.
He's an incredible artist, and he got married, and his wife Emily Schultz is an incredible musician as well.
She's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of musicians in this group, aren't there? Aren't a few of you in a band?
Eric is.
Yes.
Yeah, Sean, who's sitting next to you? Is in a band?
Me? Yeah, she's my drummer. No,
Yeah.
she's on instruments. I'm down in the music room here.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Mike, you play in a band too,
If I'm
right?
going
Or you did
modern,
play?
it's definitely Bieber's Holy right now. And then I just got Minor Threat First 7 Inches, which is my old school Let's Kick Out the Jams.
Sean was when I was by the time I was a counselor, Sean was called senior staff, and he had a role called the musical director at the camp we were at, and he invented this thing that during the last you'd eat lunch for 15 minutes, and then for 45 minutes all the kids would just listen to Sean Benson play music for 45 minutes, and it was just like gorgeous, beautiful guitar playing, fun rowdy stuff, and then he'd like mellow us down to bed, and it was followed by nap time back at the cabin, and he'd send us all on our merry old way after that. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, it was nice
Mike,
music director at camp for a while. Super good job.
Mark,
You
I'm gonna
play-
assume Mark, you're in a band and you don't normally bring your grand piano or the stuff behind you on stage.
Yeah, that's right. This is all studio equipment now. I have a separate gigging rig that I take to the shows. Equipment that if a beer got spilt into it, I could replace it, but some of this stuff is not quite as replaceable.
All right. So to get super nerdy, Mark, what are your one or two main keyboards you take with you on the road?
So I for most of the projects that I work with, I like to have a dedicated piano keyboard, like a weighted keyboard that I expect will have my piano sounds, my Fender Rhodes, electric piano sounds and stuff like that. But then I'll have a second keyboard on top of that that will give me my auxiliary sounds. Like if I need to add strings, organ, a brass section or something like that, then that's what the secondary keyboard is. But most of the time, the second keyboard is set to some kind of a Hammond organ sound, which is just generally a pretty useful sound that I can kind of make it sound like a string section, kind of make it sound like a brass section. But yeah, Hammond organ, it's a staple of rock music for the last 50 years for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. Oh, by the way, as for new song that I'm listening to, I found this cool funk tune by this guy, J.C. Davis. Song's called A New Day. It's just super cool, funky. Kind of reminds me of the Meters.
Mm.
Mark also Mark, you're in a Doors tribute band as well, right?
Oh yeah, one of my favorite projects. So I work with casino bands, wedding bands, the typical cover band material and things like that. But I also get to work with a couple of cool tribute projects, and one of them is this Doors tribute band based out of Los Angeles. And just through the connections that I've made in Windsor and Detroit, I got hooked up with these guys. When they play on this side of the country, they hire out the keyboard spot and the drummer spot, so it's less people and equipment to bring. So yeah, for about 4 years I've been working with these guys, and we do this 2-hour long set of just Jim Morrison and the Doors. And as a keyboard player, it's a heck of a lot of fun.
Like he plays the Ray Manzarek character, who's like keyboards is the main instrument there in the Doors, and he plays it note for note.
Yeah, I mean, it's they're one of my favorite bands, so it's my honor.
That's really cool.
I love watching the kids that are here because it looks like I'm watching kids who are just having fun doing camp activities that happens to be filmed while the actors are acting.
That's my nephew. That's my nephew Jack there with the egg, the sleeveless kid.
He was awesome, man. Like honestly, like as I keep saying, like all those little kids were great, and they like I mean a bunch of them had gone to camp. Like I'm trying to think. I think the youngest actor was Nicholas Fry. I think he was the youngest one that we had, right, Mike? He was the youngest. And there was like Brett and
Mouse was there too.
Mouse was Mouse. She was great too with her cute little lisp. She was so good. Yeah. But yeah, they were game for anything too. Like I think sometimes, you know, when you've got I mean kids are usually great, but sometimes you get kids and you kind of hit like a bit of a wall when you're trying to do something. They were all like so excited and happy to be there.
Not nervous, which was nice.
Yeah, they were great, man. Those kids were phenomenal.
My favorite is All Your Exes. Okay. It was a good song. I agree. So good.
Michelle wants to know if anyone has family members that also work in the industry.
Both my parents and my sister were all actors.
Actually, my dad seems to have been a background actor for everything I've ever done. When I was younger and you needed a parent on set, my dad ended up cameoing somehow in everything I did. So
he's like your Stan Lee then, right?
Yeah, he is the biggest fan. He's perfect.
That's awesome. I feel like Tim would be the Stan Lee in all of Michaela's projects, just somehow in the background.
No, my family, my two parents are arts educators. Actually, they were directors, and my brother is a filmmaker in Vancouver. My other brother's an actor as well, so I've been acting since I was a kid.
Theater too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nia, how about you? Do you have family in theater or acting?
I came from just a very artsy family in general, like all types of art. Like my grandpa actually paints, and like I just grew up surrounded with arts and crafts and theater and music and just any type of way that you could be creative under the sun you could think of. My family was involved in or like trying to like teach and stuff like that. So it was really, really fun.
Cool. Eric, what about you?
Yeah, I don't really have any relatives that work in the industry, but my family all like really like loves music and film and stuff like that. But yeah, not really nobody that actually works professionally in the industry or yeah.
So I got to ask, because it seems to happen a lot when you're the first generation actor performer in a family. Did your parents get it when you wanted to act, when you wanted to perform? Were they behind you, or were they kind of like, where's your office job and college degree?
No, I was I don't know. I've always been really fortunate. My parents were super supportive. There wasn't really any any kind of resistance. They just sort of wanted to make sure that I was serious about it and actually, wanted to pursue it. And after that, they've kind of just been by my side and extremely supportive and encouraging. So very lucky in that way.
Very cool. And we know Sean's story, that he comes from science, and it kind of seems like you said, I think earlier you said you kind of fell in to acting.
Is it not? I mean, yeah, in retrospect, it all makes sense. Like from age 5, I'd perform on stage for music. By the time I was 10 or 9, I started doing ballet, and that involved dance performances. And then I was always hosting or playing music, and like I talked about at camp. So there's like, it was always both equally, like just full entertainer, full school kid, because I really like school. And then when I went to university, you had to really get specific. By 3rd year, 4th year biochem, like you're really honing in on, specific recombinant DNA technology, and that it's not that interesting unless you're super into it. And then the nighttime doing the plays and the dance shows at Western was incredible. So no, it had been exploring both things always. And then one just really won out. But once it won out, the other door closed. And, you know, when you've got because I was already in my 20s before I went to theater school. So you've got the people going, hey, you can always fall back on your degree. And you're like, well, no, we've left that. We're now doing this. And we're burning the boat, so to speak. We're not keeping a foot in that other world. And, you know, you're talking about first gigs. Like my first ever role, I was on anything TV or film, I was 25. And it was a lead in a TV show. And I wish I had what Michaela talked about. I wish I had a few more roles before it. It was really getting thrown in on the deep end. I had done a lot of theater, though. So the acting part was easy. The technical part and the fame that came with it was more complicated for me. So didn't really fall into it, no, but definitely took a while to find that it was going to be the thing.
Nice. Question for Jesse.
Was I destined to be an actor? I mean, I guess in a sense, like coming out of the womb, I wanted to do it. Like growing up on set, seeing my parents act. I mean, I wanted to act since I was 5, since I could talk. And for the first while, I think I still am pretty sensitive to my parents. Like, there's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of, you hear no 99 out of 100 times. And usually for kind of cruel reasons. But by the time I was 8 years old, they kind of realized that, there wasn't really a choice. Like I was going to do it. And so then they jumped behind me and gave me full support. So I guess so. It definitely, feels that way. Like if I was told I couldn't be an actor, I'd be pretty lost. I'd probably be homeless on the street. I don't know what else I'd be doing. I didn't do any other kind of education. So, yeah, but it definitely feels that way.
It seems like it's really amazing to have to tell people that aren't in the business how much we auditioning is the job.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all have gone through that. We were like, oh my God, what? That was my role.
Yeah, man, auditioning, it's like the volunteer hours you put in so that you can get to work.
Yeah. Nia, you kind of were shaking your head like you've experienced that too.
Auditioning, like being on set is amazing, but like that's the treat. That's like the dessert that you wait for and then you finally get it. Like the real job is just doing auditions like all the time until you like finally hear back from one. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, I would imagine with pandemic, I know, Nia, we talked a little bit before we went live, that you're now having to set up your own production studio.
Yeah, because everything before the pandemic, there was a lot more, you'd go to an audition, you'd actually go to a different place in a studio with the actual people that were there. And now everything has been just basically from home or like just you're doing it yourself. So I know myself and a bunch of my other friends that are actors have just gone on Amazon and bought a ton of equipment just to like have your own basically casting studio in your apartment. So
is that, would you say by show of hands, that would be the same thing for the rest of you? You've kind of had to set up a little studio. Yeah.
I mean, literally, like this right behind me is like a backdrop for self-tapes.
Yeah.
It totally is. And by the way, I want to shout out my buddy Tim Dower Coleman for this lovely table that I'm sitting at. Tim like literally made me a dining room table.
Really?
A sick dining room table or like a really cool charcuterie board. Tim's your boy. I want to say that right now.
Oh God, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm finding out so much more about this uncredited guest, Tim.
Uncredited.
I think we're gonna have to do like an extended one-on-one conversation with Tim at some point.
Do it.
Can we have it at a bingo hall though in Hamilton? Would that be possible?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hamilton will be fine.
Harumi wants to know what you're all drinking.
Oh God.
Just
I'm having me some Berta Craft. This is
Tim, that's the beer I'm drinking. Bro, are you
What?
serious? That's what Oh my God.
Actually, it was my birthday yesterday, so my brother got me this
Hey.
lovely bottle of.
Happy birthday, Rachel.
Turned 47.
great for my
She looks really good.
Wow. You know, there is a special birthday song in the improv world. Jesse may know it. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. So, Nia, a question for you then. That was it.
I was ready for more.
I'm stealing that for my set.
Nia, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a smoothie because I thought it would be filling. I don't. It has fruit. It is not special, but it is tasty. So.
Got it. All right. Mike, Mark, Eric, Sean, anyone want to jump in? Are you eating, drinking, or?
I ran out of beer the other day, so I'm literally drinking the cooking wine.
Been there, bro. Been there.
I
Cheers.
love that.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah,
Incredible.
we're just
Who
rocking water
hasn't
and
done that?
booze down here. By the way, I got to chip in on this. Any idea that Tim is in any way uncredited is false. And also, by the way, Tim performed at the Coal Mine Theater in a play. Was it Orphans, Tim? Was that the one?
That's the one, brother.
Oh my God. He gave one of the finest performances I've seen on stage from a young actor. And by young actor, I mean like under 35, because some pretty like David Fox, if you guys know him, performances that are next level because he has 40 years in it. But aside from his excellent work in the movie, the idea that he's a hanger-on at this is patently false, and he's incredibly talented.
Yeah, he's the man.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
The scene we're watching right now. That was my favorite scene, I think, to film.
Oh, by the fire.
Absolutely, that was my favorite.
That
scene
was
to film.
towards the end of production.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think because Tim, I think, wrapped a couple days before us, and this might have been Tim's last night, if I'm not mistaken.
I just
Yeah, you could be right about that.
think we were finished for the day. I was kind of like unwinding, and they're like, "All right, we're doing our last scene," and I'm like, "Oh, great!" And then we did the scene, and it was actually
So
much
unprofessional.
fun.
So unprofessional. I knew we were still working.
I'm sure you did.
Who
Yeah.
had the biggest trailer on set?
I think.
I'll say this. Because I arrived first, I had the biggest room in the cabin, and the fact that I had my own private bathroom was to the jealous, especially one Samantha Helt was very jealous that I had my own bathroom. And I would get knocks on my door at like 7 a.m. when she was working. I wasn't. She'd be like, "Hey, I'm using your bathroom," and she would just walk back. Come on in, and I would go back to sleep. But we were all in. We basically the cast shared this like big kind of counselor's cabin. Bless you. Bless you. Big
It was
count-
literally boys on the one side and then girls on the other side. And then
Oh,
there was a common
never
room that
broke.
we always hang out in at the end of shooting.
And you can actually see it in the film when there's the scenes between Eric and Rachel, and they're like talking inside the cabin with the counselor. Like that was actually like our living space, like the place that we would spend all of our time off
100%.
of set.
Yeah, Colin Mochrie's office in the movie, exactly what Nia's saying was like our living room.
It was.
Yeah.
That's where we hung out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool. Mike, Izzy wants to know if there was a scene you really wanted to keep in, but you just couldn't.
Oh man, most of those scenes were cut during the scripting stages. The film was shot pretty lean, like it was 100 pages long, and with credits, it came in at 80 minutes. So that means it was about a 75-minute film. So we cut. They mentioned earlier there was this great improv from Kevin McDonald when he was reading the names. That whole sequence ended up being about 5 minutes in the film, but my first cut of it, which I thought was all gold, was 8.5 minutes long because he improv so much. And I was like, I can't take any of this out. This is all great. But I mean, if for the sake of moving the film along and pace wise, I had to cut out some of those jokes. But I mean, all the actors had great improv lines, and scenes could have been a bit longer, but you tighten them up when you edit.
I would watch a Zack Snyder cut of your film with 8 minutes.
9 hours long.
I wouldn't watch Justice League again.
The scene that we're watching right now is probably one of my favorite scenes to shoot with Jesse, and another one coming up.
This was one of our last. I think this was our last scene together, Michaela.
Yeah.
Where we meet Sean at the
Yes.
the entrance of the camp. It was,
Yes.
Michaela,
It
your
was,
smile that you
because I'm
hold.
improving. Oh yeah, my smile. Yeah.
We're picking up that. Oh God. Shirtless scene. I you know this scene of mine where Reese is rubbing sunscreen on me. I think it's Reese who's rubbing sunscreen on me.
Definitely.
Is it Reese?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is to scare away viewers, and it's very effective.
You look great.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this finale scene was such a blast to shoot. Somebody asked earlier actually about Tim and Michaela, me and Michaela practicing our dance. Michaela tried really hard to teach me how to dance. And just
Look at that ponytail, man.
tried really hard to teach me how to dance. Michaela is a trained dancer. She's an incredible dancer. She's like so elegant on her feet. And she's like, Jesse, just lift me up gracefully. And we would do it every time I hear her going, okay. Because it was hardly graceful, but it was so much fun.
How did you pull together all those guitars?
I just asked some of the crew, bring in your acoustic guitars tomorrow.
Nice.
So the one that actually Eric's playing is my guitar.
Amazing. This is so great.
Who choreographed this sequence?
It was that way on the page. It looks like it's all happening together, but it was very isolated shots. There wasn't like a master take where everyone did the whole dance. It was with playback, and we shot this 5 seconds, and we shot it 5 times from 10 different angles, kind of thing.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, there was no theatrical master version of it. It was very heavily edited, put together. Like even Sean there, that's big time acting from Sean Benson, because we had him come in today and do those reaction shots without any of that stuff going on. So I was just in front of Sean dancing, pretending I'm doing this. And Sean was just giving me some nice mugging from his face there, which usually it's not that professional of a director to tell an actor, can you act with no one across from you? But for budget reasons, it was, I need you to shoot your stuff in separation because the other stuff's being shot on a different day.
It happens so much more than you think, and it is what it is. You know what it's got to be, and you do it. But it's not necessarily a function of budget, Mike, or anybody. Like, you can be on a $100 million project, and they're like, "I'm sorry, we need to grab this shot of you while you're here. Can you just be looking in this direction and pretend this is happening?" And you go, "Yeah, sure, we'll do that."
Well, that makes me feel better. Thank
Yeah.
Jesse, that was some fine dancing on stage.
Yeah, Jesse, that was kind of perfect.
Thank you.
I worked very hard. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It was all Jesse. I also, if you guys noticed, Tim broke. That's the take that the bench shattered.
Yeah, I turned to Romeo. I said, should I break it, man? He's like, yeah, you should break it, man.
Romeo,
So it ended up being the last take.
that's hype, man.
Get into it.
Yeah.
It just shattered.
There.
Oh gosh, so funny.
This scene I didn't know we filmed, and then when I watched the
waking up
movie,
with Sam and Michaela.
yeah, did not remember that in the script. And then when I watched the movie for the first time, I was like, oh, Jesse.
Hey,
This is my last shot, I think.
this was your last shot. You
I
just
think this is my last.
you had to lie near my smelly feet, probably.
You had to lie near my smelly feet.
Nah, your feet smelled good. You were fine. This was so much fun, man. This movie was like such a blast.
Well, if anybody has any final questions, we're getting close to the end of the movie. So don't forget to post your comments and questions.
Yeah, untilt that head.
Nia was great in this scene. This was work, as we mentioned earlier. Nia have the tilted head for every shot, every scene for the whole film, just for one gag to play. But I think this gag works really well, and it's kind of a well-deserved moment for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great.
I also love Romeo's haircut.
Oh
Shout
my
out to
God.
Romeo's
yeah.
haircut.
They have such a great chemistry, Romeo and Nia. You guys had such a great chemistry.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, everyone on this film had like amazing chemistry. Like what you see and how everyone, like the chemistry everyone has on camera is exactly what it was like off camera. Like it was a set where it genuinely never felt like work. It literally felt like we were getting paid to hang out and have fun. Like you could not tell the difference between when the camera was rolling and when it wasn't.
100%.
Pretend Mike's not here. How was the cast and crew food?
Actually, we had a lot of people from the Windsor area come and donate food, which was really nice.
Oh wow!
Head was one of the people that came and did some of the meals for us, which is like a close friend of mine. I don't know if you guys knew, I grew up in Windsor, so it was really cool.
She was our local.
Film. Yeah.
Didn't Jenna's family also like cook sometimes?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I was gonna shout out their cheesecake is out of this world.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I love this shot of Nicholas Fry sitting between Eric and Rachel.
Yeah.
I love this ending so much. Sorry, but yeah, the food was great. Everyone was wonderful. I do remember they because we stayed there the entire shoot, and they would, especially during the weekends, they were like, the crew was amazing. They'd leave us like all this food, and I remember Michaela taking some of the stuff they left for us and cooking for us on the weekends too. So we wanted we're like, Michaela, you're a great cook. Cook us something, and she'd be like, "There's so much food that they've left us," and we were like, "We don't care. Make us something." And she did every time. She was.
Well, actually, I made you. Both me and Nia are vegan, so we don't eat meat or dairy or.
Wait, we're about to see the end of the movie. Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah. You ready?
Nicholas Fry and this girl, they're so cute.
Eric, how many times did we have to redo this for smacking your face?
Oh my! It was like a significant amount of times. I'm sure, yeah, I feel like I bonked your teeth a bit too many times to
I thought
say
I
it
might
loud.
bruise your chin.
The way it sets up.
Why did you cut Mike? Why was that scene, the kissing scene, cut so hard and fast like that?
Like before, it cuts out before they actually kiss?
Yes.
I had, in my film study days, I had heard when people watch a film, they judge it by two peaks. They pick their favorite scene from the film and then the very ending of the film. And they kind of use that as a benchmark of how much they enjoyed the film or appreciated it. So I thought if you kind of do an ending where it just leaves them wanting for more and they have that feeling, then they pick their other favorite scene, then that would kind of have a high plateau as a trick or whatever. So, and I like the idea, the buildup of our two main leads are obviously have this chemistry back and forth, this moonlighting, so to speak, relationship. So finally, when they come together, you take it away from the audience. That was fun.
Any thoughts or ideas of doing like a next generation or a next year's summer camp?
TV show,
Next generation, we want to be in
TV
it.
show.
TV show. Yeah.
As Sean would know, there's plenty of material that you could have TV show out of this thing. I had to cut so much out, so it's not a question of material. I guess it's appetite. We actually the film in Canada is going to be out on. I didn't tell the crew this or the cast yet, but it's going to be out on Crave TV in May and June.
Oh, cool.
With them. So hopefully, it's a nice reception on Crave TV, and if there's appetite for a show or a sequel, then that'd be great. But
Let's do it.
Awesome. I love the bloopers. Bloopers are great.
So funny, especially with Kevin and Colin, those guys, man, they're just so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah.
So let's go around the room. Jesse,
Yeah.
you are in production on Lock and Key.
I am indeed.
And totally not fanboying, but when can I see the next season?
I wish I knew the answer. From what I understand, I could say this because it's speculation based on conversations I've overheard. I believe by the end of this year. But I reserve the right to be completely wrong.
But you're in production.
We're in production. We're ramping down on season 2. We were so lucky we got a renewal for season 3, so season 2 is basically done filming within the next 2 weeks. I can't say whether I'm still working or not because that would be a spoiler, but
right.
And it's been great. If you love the first season, just wait. Like, this thing skyrockets. It's crazy.
Twice the keys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Got it. Rachel, how about you? What do you have coming up?
I actually have a few projects coming up. I have a short that should be out soon. It's just doing its circuit run right now.
I saw it. It's really, it's amazing.
I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
And then I have a few projects that I've been casted for, but I haven't started filming yet because of COVID, but that I'll be starting very, very soon that I'm excited to share. So there'll be some short films and music videos coming out with me in it soon.
Awesome. All right, we'll move right next to you, Michaela.
I guess early in the end of 2020, in the summer of 2020, just actually when production came back after the first lockdown, I was part of I was filming something there, but other than that, just auditioning and writing some music with this guy and making body butter for fun. So yeah, I mean, just auditioning and doing my thing. I just waiting for this film to I don't want to mention too much about it just in case, but
no worries, it's all good. And Tim, where can we see you? You got anything coming up?
I'm about to go into production for a feature called Burden. It's about an alcoholic sort of family dynamic and the tensions surrounding something that happens within his past that he's working through. So I'm about to go into production, and hopefully you can see that soon.
Awesome. How about you, Eric?
I have a part in this movie called Night Raiders, which is doing a festival run right now, and I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things about it, and it's kind of like a dystopian thing, and so I'm excited to see that. But that's all on the horizon for now.
Very cool. Dystopian, so very non-fiction these days.
Yeah, that's right.
How about you, Sean? Where can we see you performing with those guitars, or acting, or doing chemistry type work?
Well, if you want to see chemistry, that's all done. And unless I get along with my scene partner, the guitar shit you can watch on my Instagram because I'm always posting videos. Let me think. Lifetime just released a movie called House on Fire that I'm one of the leads in, and then Netflix still has the show Tiny Pretty Things that I was a pretty large part in all the episodes.
Absolutely.
Then, I'm in pre-production for the next film I'm directing, and then there's one called Hysteria that I did that I think COVID slowed their post down, but that should be coming out pretty soon. So there's some stuff out there. You could probably find me.
Very cool. And Mark, what do you have going on?
Well, we do have some stuff with the Doors tribute band on the calendar, but it's in Pennsylvania in July, so I'm not sure if that's going to get pushed ahead or not. Honestly, I'm just looking forward to the possibility of a decent patio season. That's what I'm looking forward to. Get to play some piano outside and entertain some folks, and if we get that much, I'll be thrilled.
Awesome. And then last but not least, Mike.
Well, I think you skipped Nia there.
Oh.
I can still be Lise, though, if you want.
Okay, you can be Lise. We'll go to Nia then.
I actually just wrapped on a project this week that I cannot talk about, but it was very fun. So that's all I can say, unfortunately.
Got it. So you did something fun. Can't talk about it. I get it.
Yeah. Very fun. Had a blast.
And Mike, how about you?
I've been doing a lot of development because of COVID. So I got a few scripts ready to go. I have one project, Vampire Zombies from Space, which kind of the title tells it all, and it's a comedy. And I hope to call all these actors back to work for it when that happens. But
we're in.
We would love to be there.
Yeah. With
I'd love to be
Amen.
Vampire.
Yeah, if you're super
zombie.
Or alien.
Deaf vampire. Deaf vampire.
Perfect. Yeah, with ultra low indie films, which is what I do, like you can't shoot during COVID because you don't even have the budget to pay for the person who's going to do the safety stuff. So I gotta wait for things to open back up, but that script's ready to go and will get done for sure.
Very cool. All right. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you to Kayla and Izzy and Harumi and Michelle and Chris and Tim's dad, who's said he was going to get pictures of him from his Kiss days.
Yeah.
Right. And if we have any camp pictures, we definitely want to see pictures of you all from camp.
Oh, fun.
Where should we share all these pictures?
I don't know if I have any pictures.
I have camp pictures for sure.
Let's see.
Well, on your Instas, on your Twitters.
Absolutely.
When Mike, if you any plans, Mike, to release this on Blu-ray?
It is currently, you can get it Blu-ray and DVD on stateside, not in Canada yet. So
okay,
and it's Amazon Prime now in the States as well, and all the VOD. But like I mentioned, it's going to be on Crave TV, which if you're Canadian, it's a big thing. It's like our Hulu up here, kind of thing. So that's coming out, I'm told, either May or June. I think they want the weather to turn to kind of line up with that release.
That makes sense.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking your Friday evening. You could have been in so many rooms of your apartments and homes. I appreciate
anyway.
I appreciate you choosing this one from all of us at AfterBuzz. Thank you. We're going to be here for the following weeks for more watch parties. Go to filmthreat.com. And with that, thank you. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks so much,
You
everybody.
all killed it. You guys were all awesome.
See you later.